How can you tell if a sound is twangy or nasalized? And what is the difference, or is it the same? Let's find out in this video. Hi guys, Elizabeth Loninger here. I'm excited to talk to you today about the difference between twang and a nasal sound. This is something that comes up a lot in my voice lessons where students are just confused about these two. And I think one main thing that you want to understand about nasalized sound versus twangy sound is that they are created in different parts of the vocal tract. So let's look at nasalized sounds first. So you can check out this diagram here. In the back of your mouth, on the roof of your mouth, you have the soft palate. And the soft palate functions as a gate, really, between the nasopharynx and the oropharynx, or between the nasal cavity and the oral cavity. And so depending on whether it's completely up, which means completely closed, halfway down, or all the way down, which means completely open, that determines where the airflow goes. So let's start with the sound that we usually train when we're doing exercises, where the soft palate is all the way up. So all the air comes out through the mouth. And the sound that you get is a nice open sound, like ah, right? Now, let's go the other extreme. If I have the velum up here, now I'm dropping it all the way down so that it basically touches the back of my tongue. And that means all the airflow comes out through the nose. How does that affect the sound? Let's try it. Try the sound N, right? Just go, and then close your nose and see what happens. So let's do that. The sound stops because all the air, again, came out through the nose. Now, the in-between sound, that is the sound that most people have questions about. That would be the nasalized sound. That is where part of the air comes out through the nose and part of the air comes out through the mouth. And that's not always the same. Sometimes it's just a little bit, sometimes it's a lot, depending on what position your soft palate, that gate in the back of your mouth, is in. So let's put it somewhere halfway, and it's like, that, by the way, is a good way to check whether or not you're nasalized. So you are opening and closing your nose with your fingers. And if you are nasalized, you will create kind of a wah-wah sound with your nose, right? Because you keep interrupting part of the airflow, not all of it, as we did on an N, but part of it, right? So, again, if I lift my soft palate all the way up, I go, no change, right? Another way to check whether or not you're nasalized is to put your finger under your nose. And if you are singing nasalized, you will feel the warm air hitting your finger. Try that. Go back and forth between what you perceive as a nasalized sound and what you don't. Like, to me, that's nasalized, and I can feel it here. I can feel it hitting my finger. Or if I go, it's nothing. All the air comes out through my mouth. I can go back and forth between the two. Right? You hear that. There's a difference in sound. Like the nasalized sound sounds a little bit covered. It's almost like it's a bit of a lazy sound, like, I'm so tired. Like a little bit annoyed, maybe even. So, you can play around with those. But really also try the wah-wah and see how that feels for you so you get a bit more clarity. So, again, nasalized sound happens in the back of your mouth, at the roof of your mouth, with the soft palate being either all the way up, somewhere in between, or all the way down. Now, twang can be nasalized, but it doesn't have to be. And twang is actually not created anywhere up here. It's actually created above your vocal folds. And we like to use twang because it helps the voice carry. Like if you've ever been like, I don't know, at a airport or a train station, and you can hear this one voice cutting through all the noise, that person is twanging. They may not even know it. It may be a cultural thing. Sometimes, the Texans get a rap for being very twangy people, the way they talk, very twangy. So, but, it doesn't have to be. You can also learn this. So, again, twang actually happens in the throat. And what you do is you narrow the aryepiglottic sphincter. Now, that sounds like it's a big production right there. But it's basically the lid or the epiglottis that covers our throat. Let's say this is your larynx right here. And the epiglottis can cover our larynx to protect the airways when we are eating or when we are drinking something. So it's part of the swallowing mechanism. And more on that in a little bit. So we have a muscle there, the aryepiglottic sphincter, that can pull the epiglottis down and protect your airways. Now, when we are just narrowing it a little bit, bringing it a little bit down, that is how we create twang. As I said, twang can be nasalized or not. It doesn't matter because it's created here. Where the epiglottis is, that is where that muscle is. So, for instance, if I go, nay, 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 like that is a twangy sound, and that's actually nasalized. Nay, right? But I could do a similar sound where the soft palate is all the way up, like this. Soft palate is all the way up. All that happens in your throat, right? So again, that is already one way of experimenting with twang. It's like this teasing playground sound. Right? It sounds weird. Another way to experiment with it is, cats meow. 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 Right? Again, you can do it nasalized. Meow. Or not. Meow. Right? Another one is cackling. Like I know something you don't know. And I am evil about it. You can try that. And I really like the baby wail, right? Like when you go, wah, wah. I can really feel that. I can feel the twanginess of it. And it just gets me going. Now, both the twang sound and the nasalized sound can be used in singing. In fact, what the twang sound or the twang quality does for us, actually, it, as I mentioned before, it makes the voice carry. It makes the voice cut through. But you got to be careful about it. If you do too much of it, it will sound too sharp and not pleasant to listen to. So it's really just a small degree of it that we mix it into the overall sound. And same like with the nasalized sound, it doesn't really add any clarity to the sound. It's more like it muffles it a little bit. Sometimes it's nice to use it when you are trying to decrescendo to make the sound a little bit more quiet and just let it peter off. Very good for that. So both sounds you can use in singing. With twang, I want to encourage you to really work on that with a voice teacher. Because, as I mentioned before, twang is part of your swallowing sequence. And when you are swallowing, you're closing the throat. Right? I'm closing my throat. I'm lifting my larynx. I'm narrowing my larynx to get all my food and my drink down into my esophagus. So it's a bit tricky. And if you are pushing it too hard, or if you're squeezing too hard, if you're constricting too hard here, you can actually strain your folds. You can experience some vocal strain. And believe me, I have. I have tried it and I have mucked around with it on my own and I could feel it. So highly recommend that you work with a voice teacher on that. So there you have it. That is the difference between a nasalized sound and a twangy sound. One happens with your soft palate, this way, and the other one happens with your AES, or aryepiglottic sphincter. I hope this information is useful to you. And if you're interested in taking private lessons with me, you can find my contact information and also the link to my website down below in the description. All right. See you next time. And in the meantime, happy singing. Hey.